Hi, my name is Bob, and I approve this message.
I got the magic in me. Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold. Everybody knows.
Welcome back to the Geometry Unit. Today we're going to be taking a look at two-step transformations. So let's go ahead and start with that by taking a look at some review vocabulary. So a quick reminder on our vocabulary: remember the figure before the transformation is called the preimage. The preimage is labeled with the letters, for example, triangle ABC. After the transformation, we use the word prime to describe the image. The image is labeled with letters as primes. Example, A prime, B prime, C prime. Notice each letter gets a prime. So for example, A prime, then B prime, then C prime. Now let's take a look at some new vocabulary. So today we're talking about two transformations happening on the same preimage. After the second transformation, we use the word double prime to describe the image. So the image is labeled with the letters and primes, for example, triangle A prime double prime, B double prime, C double prime. And notice that each letter gets a double prime, so for example, A double prime. Now let's take a look at example A. So here in example A, we have the preimage ABC is shown on the coordinate plane. We're going to draw a translation right 2 units and down 4. Then we need to reflect it over the y-axis and label the image A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So we've got our 3 points over there, and it's telling us that we need to draw a translation first and then reflect. It's very important that we do the transformations in the order that we are given them to. We can't just be like, oh, let's reflect and then we'll start moving things around with translation. No, we have to do the translation first because it comes first. We can do this one of 2 ways. We can either count the points out like we need to, count 2 to the right and then 4 down, or we can add 2 to the x coordinate, then subtract 4 from the y coordinate and figure out where our A prime is. I think I'm going to do the subtraction method and the addition method, but you can feel free to count as long as you've got your shape and a coordinate plane. So negative 3 plus 2 is going to give me negative 1. 6 minus 4 is going to give me positive 2. Negative 7 plus 2 is going to give me negative 5. 2 minus 4 is going to give me negative 2. 0 plus 2 is going to be 2. And negative 2 minus 4 is going to be negative 6. So now that we've figured out where all of our individual single primes are going to be, we now need to locate our double primes. So in this case, we're going to be reflecting over the y-axis. And we know whenever we reflect over the y-axis, the thing that actually changes is the x-coordinate to the opposite. So the opposite of negative 1 is going to be positive 1. The 2 is going to stay the same. The opposite of negative 5 is going to be positive 5. The negative 2 stays the same. The opposite of positive 2 is going to be negative 2, and negative 6 stays the same. So now that we have all of our points, we can plot them on our graph to locate A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So we're going to go up 1, over 2, over 1, up 2, apologies there. Then we've got over 5, down negative 2, and negative 2, down negative 6. Now that we've got all our points, to make sure that we label them A prime double prime, B double prime, C double prime, and connect all of our points. Notice that our triangle is the exact same shape and size as it was before. We didn't change the shape or size, we only moved it around. So we moved it to the right and then down, and then we reflected the points over the y-axis. Now let's take a look at example B. So here we are in example B, and it says the preimage of ABC is shown on the coordinate plane, reflected over the x-axis, then draw the translation, left 3 units and up 2. Label the image A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So again, this time we have to follow the order that they've given us. So we have to do the reflection first, and then we can do the translation. Now, just like last time, I could just take my coordinates that have been given there, and I can do the translation by knowing that I have to reflect over the x-axis, so the y-coordinate is going to be the one that becomes opposite. But this time, I think I'll draw it on the graph so that we can see it taking place. So in this case, I'm going to be going over my x-axis here. So that's the one that's a horizontal axis. So the opposite of going down 3 is going to be going up 3 for the A. Then for B, I'm going to be going down 7, so I'm going to go up 7. And then C, I went down 7 again, so I'm going to be going up 7 again. So again, this is just B prime, A prime, C prime. And this is just our first triangle. This is not our final mark. This is where we've done only the reflection. So now we're going to record our points because it has boxes for us to do so. So our first point is going to be at 5, positive 3. Then it's going to be at 1, positive 7. And then at 8, positive 7. So that's our first of the 2 transformations that we need to do. The second transformation is that we need to translate it 3 to the left and 2 units up. So again, I could do the addition and subtraction, but I'm going to count it out this time because I want to see that take place on the coordinate plane. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, and record my point. And then I'm going to do the same thing for B, 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2, and record my point. And finally C, 1, 2, 3, and go up 1, 2, and record my point. Then I'm going to make my triangle, and I'm going to label it A prime, A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. And we need to record our points. So point A double prime is at 2, 5. B double prime is at negative 2, positive 9. And C double prime is at 4, positive 9. So now we've done our translation, our reflection and our translation. We can see that both triangles there are on the graph. We reflected it over the x-axis, so you can see that we've made that reflection to go over the x-axis here. And then we moved it, and we moved it to the left and up, and that is accurate. You can see that it's gone to the left and up. Now let's take a look at example C. So here we are at example C, and it says the preimage of ABC is shown on the coordinate plane. Draw the translation, x plus 5, y minus 3, then dilate the figure by a scale factor of 2. So this time they've told us what we can do with, or we've got to do our translation first, then we've got to dilate, which is different than before we were doing reflecting. So the first thing we're going to have to do is the translation, that comes first, and then the dilation, which is going to just be multiplying. So in this case, again, I could count on my coordinate plane, but I think this time I'll just use the addition and subtraction since they've listed them right there for me in the problem. So negative 2 plus 5 is going to give me a positive 3. 3 minus 3 is going to give me 0. Negative 4 plus 5 is going to give me positive 1. 1 minus 3 is going to give me negative 2. Negative 1 plus 5 is going to give me positive 4. And then 1 minus 3 is going to give me negative 2. So I've got all my points for A prime, B prime, C prime. Now I need to do my dilation. So my dilation by a scale factor of 2 means I'm going to just take all the numbers that I've been given in A prime, B prime, C prime and multiply them by 2. So 3 times 2 is going to give me 6. 0 times 2 is 0. 1 times 2 is going to be 2. Negative 2 times 2 is going to be negative 4. 4 times 2 is going to be 8. Negative 2 times 4, or negative 2 times 2 is going to be negative 4. Now that we've got our points, we can plot them on the graph. So going over 6 and leaving it at 0 is going to be my A double prime. Then I've got to go over 2 to the right. Oh my, I've gone negative 6. No good. Going to have to fix that. All right, 6 to the right, and then going nowhere. That's my A double prime. That's better. Again, if we've made a mistake on which direction we need to go, when we finish, we would notice that our triangle isn't quite where it's supposed to be, and hopefully that lets us know to go back and check our work. We're going to go over 2 and down negative 4. That's going to give us B double prime. And lastly, we're going to go over 8 and down negative 4, and that's going to give us C double prime. Then we connect our dots. Notice that we not only moved our triangle, but it has also gotten larger. How much has it gotten larger by? By a scale factor of 2. Now let's take a look at the last example. So here in the final example, it says the points for the preimage of preimage of A, B, C are shown below. We need to reflect over the x-axis first and then dilate by a scale factor of 1/2. Notice they did not give us a coordinate plane here, so we have to know our rules in order to make this happen. So if we're going to be reflecting over the x-axis, we know that what's going to change is the y is going to become the opposite. So in this case, I've got negative 2, and the opposite of positive 4 is going to be negative 4. Negative 4 is going to stay the same. The opposite of 8 is going to be negative 8. 6 is going to stay the same. The opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. So we were able to get all of our A prime, B prime, C prime points. Now we need to multiply everything by a scale factor of 1/2. So everything's going to get cut in half. So half of negative 1 is going to be, half of negative 2 is going to be negative 1. Half of negative 4 is going to be negative 2. Half of negative 4 is going to be negative 2. Half of negative 8 is going to be negative 4. 6 cut in half is going to be 3. And 2 cut in half is going to be 1. Now notice, I didn't have to do anything other than know my rules. I didn't have to count. I didn't have to go from side to side. If I know my rules, I can do it very quickly, even without a coordinate plane. that brings us to the end of this problem. It also brings us to the end of this set of notes. If you like this video, go ahead and throw us a thumbs up. If you love this video, go ahead and throw us a sub. And we will catch you in the next one.
Magic in